pass where no human being should venture.
The work being very toilsome, being labor under the cold, dripping water from leaky flues, and with clothes saturated from head to foot.
Sad and fatal accidents often occur, and horses and their owners are dashed to pieces on the rocks below. Sorely tempted as we were to yield to despair, yet some of us were resolved to brave it out to the end. This is a story of a dream. A dream that in many ways came true. For the brave souls and restless spirits that haunt this landscape, it is still alive, in a land they call Cariboo. The dream began with a voice that echoed across the world. Gold? Gold! The year was 1858. Gold seekers from nearly every part of the globe were arriving in Victoria. Word had spread. There were fortunes to be made in British Columbia. By the end of the year, 30,000 miners would make their way north. What they sought was gold. Gold dust and nuggets hidden amongst the sandbars and the gravel drifts washed down from the mountains during the Ice Age. Through deep valleys and soaring mountain ranges they traveled, crossing the rivers and streams that until now had been inhabited by the native people and the fur traders from Hudson Bay Company. Many of the prospectors came from the California gold fields, raising fears that the United States would soon take over the area.
We shall form a new colony, and it shall be called British Columbia.
November 19th, 1858. In a small ceremony at Fort Langley, Chief Justice Matthew Begbie swears in James Douglas as the new governor. The dream had begun. Meanwhile, the Cariboo prospectors were finding the journey into the gold fields a formidable and often dangerous undertaking.
The rivers flow oft times through dark and awful gorges. I tell you, it's a hard road to travel.
Still, by the late 1850s, a number of routes and trails into the Cariboo had been established. From Victoria, miners traveled to Yale on the Fraser River. From here, the route up the Fraser was too treacherous, so an alternate route was found. From Harrison Lake, up the Lillooet River, overland to Anderson and Seton Lakes, and then on to Lillooet. Development was rapid. Gold towns and settlements sprang up overnight as the gold-hungry prospectors named and settled their claims. By 1859, Grinnell Forks was established, and soon after, nearby Keithley Creek became a major center for thousands of miners. By 1861, Antler Creek had been entirely staked. The high cost of food and supplies led to short rations. Some starved, others became disillusioned.
We are utterly discouraged by the excessive difficulties of the way and the unvarying tale of disappointment told by parties of returning and unsuccessful miners.
But there was gold. In 1861, William Dutch Bill Dietz uncovered one of the richest strikes in North America, Williams Creek. A town called Richfield was born. By 1862, some 15,000 miners arrived. Among them was an Englishman named Billy Barker.
Barker was crazy as a loon. There was no gold below the canyon. Everyone knew that. But he struck pay dirt. 62 ounces of gold in a square foot of gravel. 62 ounces!
Soon, the Barker mine was joined by others. And by 1863, Barkerville was a lively gold town surpassing even Richfield in size and importance. By 1865, the Cariboo Wagon Road was completed. Initiated by Governor Douglas, the road was considered the eighth wonder of the world and stretched nearly 400 miles to the Barkerville goldfields. Roadhouses and farms along the winding route to Barkerville became settlements and towns, many still in existence. Spence's Bridge, Lillooet, 100 Mile House, Williams Lake, and Cottonwood House still remain, while other settlements like Keithley Creek and Van Winkle have totally disappeared. The cost of food and supplies was considerably cheaper now, as pack or mule trains traveled the new road. Jean Coe, or Cataline, was a famous packer. Thought to be illiterate, he could remember every detail of his extensive mule trains.
I have never misplaced an order.
Now, travelers could enjoy relative luxury on the wagon road, as stagecoaches and horses ferried new settlers to the region. Francis Barnard's BX Express was one of the longest stagecoach runs in North America, following each section of the road as it was completed from Yale to Barkerville. Soon, Barkerville was filled with shops, hotels, stables, and of course people, most of whom were miners. At one time, nearly half the population was Chinese, brought in to work on the Cariboo Wagon Road, some destined to settle in Barkerville as merchants or miners. And by most accounts, it was a grand and lively existence, but not without hardship.
The gold was a perfect nuisance, as the miners have to carry it from their cabins every morning and watch it while they work, and carry it back to their cabins and watch it while they sleep. Mining for gold was hard work. With placer mining, you had to separate the nuggets and the dust from the pay dirt using water. Oh, we used gold pans and rocker boxes, but it went a lot faster with sluice boxes. You needed a lot of water to flush the gravel out of the tunnels or underground shafts. So some bright fella comes up with the idea of using a Cornish water wheel to pump the water. Oh, that was a dandy solution.
Then, in just 1 hour and 20 minutes, Barkerville burned to the ground.
The fire started in the saloon. A miner was trying to kiss one of the girls that was ironing, and knocking over the stovepipe set the canvas roof ablaze.
But rebuilding started the next morning. The Cariboo Sentinel noted that
The town, when rebuilt, will present a much more uniform and pleasant appearance.
things began to change. By the late 1870s, hydraulicking was commonly practiced. Heavy water guns washed the hillsides towards a sluice box with riffles, behind which the gold deposits remained. But by the 1890s, the little town of fortune and adventure had gently faded into decline. For the next 30 years, it would serve as a supply center for new mining ventures, and those in search of the treasure the original miners had left behind. But fortunes did rise again. 1930, the Shamrock mine opened in Barkerville, and the gold quartz mine opened in nearby wells. Hard rock miners continued the search for the mother lode. Stamp and reduction mills were built to process quartz vein rock and extract the particles of gold, with some success. The dream was still alive. Today, the quest for gold is as strong as it was in those early years. Placer mining is still active, and modern prospectors visit our library to pore over old maps and mining reports in search of new fortunes. But some visitors explore for a different reason: recreation, wildlife, magnificent scenery, and the opportunity for year-round excitement. Traces of dreams still linger in Barkerville and along the many local trails, and the spirit of those dreams shall remain with us forever. And if you listen closely, their voices can be heard.
It was a curious sight to look down the creek at night and see each shaft of this little fire and its lanterns and the dim, ghostly figures gliding about from darkness to light, while an occasional hut was illuminated by some weary laborer returning from his nightly toil.
Join us in celebrating the living heritage of the Cariboo and Barkerville Historic Town, and the people who keep the dream alive.